rise, fall, and rise again of Toonami.
When it comes to programming blocks, you'd be hard-pressed to find anything more iconic than Toonami. Not only is there nostalgia associated with it, but there is a legacy that truly spans some generations now that all have their own experiences with it. From the style and attitude that radiated from the bumpers and clips between...
Bro, I remember when this dude, this like astronaut explorer guy, he was tiny at first, like you just saw, but over the course of like a couple years, they just aged him and he ended up being like this jacked robot thing. I mean, the last time I remember watching Toonami, and I thought like Toonami was never not cool to me. It was always cool because what was this, like around, it started around what, 6 p.m. and like ended at like what, 9 or 10 p.m. or something like that. It was the coolest little block of TV that I imagined watching as a little kid. It had all the coolest animes, like all the cool cartoons. I was just awestruck.
Programs to the selection of programs themselves that brought you some of the coolest pieces of media. For over 25 years, Toonami has blessed the afternoon and late night scene for those interested in having an appreciation for Japanese animation. Much like finding so many new programs to get hooked on, Toonami had this ever-evolving feel to it that constantly brought more and more programs to the forefront for you to discover, while offering visuals and aesthetics that invoke both past and present. When you heard the hip-hop inspired beats mixed with the early CG visuals reminiscent of 80s sci-fi, you felt right at home knowing you're going to get some highly memorable experiences through the shows curated for the block.
Bro, anytime, a lot of the times when Toonami would come on, I wouldn't even play video games, dude, during that time. And even though that's like prime time for video games and shit back then, it's like I come home from school, try to get my homework done as quickly as possible, play video games, and then watch Toonami, the Toonami block. That's pretty much what I did for a long time.
But most importantly, at least to me, was the full-on introduction to anime. I want to celebrate what Toonami has meant to me throughout my life growing up with it, and the programming that truly made it special. So let's take a ride on the Absolution as we look back through the history of Toonami.
He's got like a little circle body.
See how this programming block rose, fell, and rose again.
Welcome aboard the Ghost Planet Spaceship Absolution. Later.
Yeah.
In the mid-90s, cartoons on TV were at a rising peak for...
Oh my god, now I remember. It was always Nickelodeon versus Cartoon Network. That's what it was.
For kids across different channels, and kids everywhere were locked into what they were used to always watching.
Oh my
Cartoon
god.
Network was looking to add something to their programming lineup that would end up capturing a new audience and hopefully be of interest to those already on
I
their
watched
channel.
Powerpuff Girls. I watched
Cartoon
that,
Network
Eddie.
executive Mike Lazo, who was trying to jumpstart a new project for Cartoon Network that would be focused on action-based animation. He asked Sean Atkins to help aid in coming up with what this would be, as he would then grab his friend Jason DeMarco to fully plot this out. Both Sean and Jason were heavily in tune with the Japanese animation scene, watching and having a great appreciation for anime, as they wanted to pull from that to bring it to the forefront for Western audiences. Of course, this would be no easy feat to do, since pitching bringing over Japanese content that would be unfamiliar to most watching the channel isn't a guarantee of viewership for the network to passively greenlight. Mike Lazo, however, was on board with the vision and wanted to aid with a bit of familiarity that he could offer. Mike had already created a repurposed outlet for the Space Ghost property from Hanna-Barbera, turning it into the odd and fun Space Ghost Coast.
Yeah, I remember seeing this as a little kid, and this was like probably more for adults than it was kids. Yeah, when I was a little kid, I was like, where to action? This is obviously like a superhero, but there's no like fighting and shit. So I was like, and then they had like people that were like did like a video interview type of deal, but they're like responding to a cartoon. It never made sense to me as a little kid.
to Coast, a late-night talk show that would be a cartoon aimed at adults that Cartoon Network would pick up as a show to place on their network for late-night time slots, when the channel's target audience would most likely be asleep. Taking from this, Lazo and his production company Ghost Planet would begin building the design of Toonami by first bringing in the character of Moltar. From the original Space Ghost cartoon, and gone is the villain's status and his responsibilities on the Coast to Coast show, and welcomed in are his duties as hosting the first incarnation of the Toonami block, along with a sleek new CG look that fits the computer-generated vibe they were going for. But to help build what this vibe exactly is came down to Sean and Jason, who were trying to figure out this whole idea. And along came the introduction of another person in the story, Michael Cahill, who would be influential in working with them in these editing sessions of taking hip and newer music sounds, skateboarding clips, and untranslated anime that they would find through local video stores that would import them in to create a reel that encapsulates this moment in time that they're in. And boom, the vibe had been created, and the next thought was a host for the whole thing. Originally, to fit the tone, they were thinking that it'd be some sort of AI who accompanies a teenage girl, but the cost associated with this would be out of any allotted budget. So this is where the idea of bringing in Moltar fit perfectly. Much like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Moltar was voiced by animator and voice actor Clay Martin Crocker. Together, over the next 3 quarters of the year, this group came together
Yeah, I could see, since the budget was, like when you're first starting, I can see the budget not being that big, so one person can seemingly have just multiple hats for the sake of just brevity and, you know, needing to do, like, get something done. Like, you can have an animator that's also a voice actor, that's also, like, kind of director.
To create what they decided on being the combination of cartoon and Toonami.
I'll give you the tour later. Let's get back into it.
After so much time was spent finding the exact vibe, coming up with the perfect name, and being ready to launch this new action block of animation onto the world, the premiere of Toonami on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 1997,
I wasn't there for that.
6 p.m., didn't release with the programming that Sean and Jason wanted to bring over. Many roadblocks stopped them from getting their requested shows to play during their new animation block, having access to one initial Japanese production, Voltron. But in saying that, this was the Voltron already brought to the US and edited to suit a younger audience with a lot of original stuff cut from it. But this was a start. The network did give them their space to be creative in designing what this whole thing would be, but that doesn't mean it was just smooth sailing through the stars until miracles would happen. Instead, there were worries that each week could be their last week airing Toonami, as Sean would come back from meetings with a level of uncertainty from the higher-ups, with the ratings for Toonami being fine. Not great, just fine. Something was needed to really pull in the audience to prove that what they have is truly special, and that opportunity was just about to present itself the following year. After only having Thundercats, The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, Voltron, and then Cartoon Roulette, featuring a bunch of older random cartoons being chosen in 1997, 1998 proved to be the year that things would start taking off. Having access to the original Super Friends and even Transformers Beast Wars was cool.
Oh my god, Beast Wars. Like OG animated series Beast Wars. I remember this, dude. I remember having these toys that I remember it was awesome. Like the little Beast Wars toys that Optimus Prime was like a gorilla, and then you had like Cheetor, his little buddy. You had like that Rhino dude, and I think it was something along the lines of, I don't remember. It was so long ago. Like, they were like the little things that you could like flip their head down and like take their arms out, and like you flip them around and like turn them a certain way, and like the other arms are inside his body. Oh my god.
For sure. And even moving on to get Robotech helped out. But 2 programs in particular were about to change the attention Toonami was receiving. First was the English dubbed version of Sailor Moon, where it was already being played on another network owned by Turner.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I watched Sailor Moon when I was a little kid, and it just looked like all the other shows that I was watching. I was just like, oh, okay, just girls like fighting bad guys, whatever.
As it didn't get the viewership and ratings overall that it needed to continue over there on the USA network. This led to Toonami being offered to be the new home for Sailor Moon, where it started to get the attention that the network needed to be able to push for more in order to grow. That summer, Sailor Moon helped bring in enough leverage for the Toonami crew to not just ask for, but heavily push for getting Dragon Ball Z to be added into the rotation. Both Sean
Yeah.
and Jason really wanted to get Dragon Ball Z. It was a show that Sean would wake up early to watch when he was younger, when it would be played only on a local channel, early in the mornings, as he had the thought that if he was doing this back then there were others like him doing the same. If they were able to make it more accessible for a Western audience to watch Dragon Ball Z and play it at a time slot in the mid-afternoon on a highly watched network as opposed to a random early morning time slot on a local channel, this would be huge. And they were right. This was huge, as in 1998, Japanese properties and Japanese animation were making their way over to the States, and kids as well as young adults were eating it up. The ratings would continue to go up and more people would be tuning into Toonami for a dose of action, and more importantly,
like when I first saw Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, you know, they had that metal guitar like intro of Dragon, Dragon, Rock Your Dragon, Dragon Ball Z type of beat. Bro, that was it for me as a little kid. Yeah, like I think I came in like midway through the Saiyan saga. But then there would be multiple times throughout the years later where they would just like replay it again. And I would be like, oh, how do I see this cartoon again or whatever? And they would just replay it. It's like, oh, okay. We want to keep that spot.
A dose of anime. As we get into 1999, other shows like Reboot, The Powerpuff Girls, and Robin Warriors were added to the mix of programs that would be played. This created a healthy balance of shows from both regions being in this couple-hour mix. But Dragon Ball Z alone would bring in the eyes that the network loved to see, providing some of the highest viewed broadcasts that made Cartoon Network on a level of viewership more or less to Nickelodeon at the time. They even premiered movies on some Fridays, with the first being Batman Mask of the Phantasm. While not direct.
Oh, wait, this was also... Did this happen? Did the Batman animated series happen on Saturdays? Because I'd be like just chilling in the living room watching the Saturday morning cartoons as well, dude.
Following the anime flow, that is a great movie, and I think it fits the vibe. Toonami was hot and it was getting noticed. With some semi-edited versions of Dragon Ball Z movies being played, it began to expose another side of anime to Western audiences who were now invested. What we were receiving to watch on TV were not the original versions of the program. Now, Toonami began pushing some limits, but the key word here is limits. These were still not the uncut versions that are now known. The popularity of Dragon Ball Z, along with anime in general in the States at the time, garnered a level.
I still think I haven't seen the uncut versions of Dragon Ball Z. Like what did they cut out? It was so I don't know, offensive, or like maybe not culturally, I don't know, good.
Level of credibility to this field of animation. Only Toonami. But now it's nearly the end of the decade, and in
wasn't that voice actor that said that? Wasn't that the voice of Optimus Prime?
July of 1999, Toonami had a bit of a revamp, sunsetting Moltar and introducing a little robot fella named Tom, who was now voiced by Sonny Strait. Along with this, the setting of Toonami was now aboard this spacecraft called the Absolution, as the new host welcomed Toonami fans in with a brief introduction, calling this the brand new Toonami, but with the mission of staying the same with what to expect. Tom was there to usher us into the new millennium right around the corner, promising
he's literally getting fitter. Like, look at this.
Solution, as the new host welcomed Toonami fans in with a brief introduction, calling this the brand new Toonami, but with the mission of staying the same with what to expect. Tom was there to usher us into the new millennium right around the corner.
Like, look at this. He's got like chest muscles. He's got like a flat stomach now. He's got some shoulders on him. His arms are, his hands are still like big, like and gigantic. The CG is a little bit better. He literally is just getting more jacked as the years go on. He's got legs now as opposed to those little like sticks.
Corner, promising the same shows you already like and the same attitude to go along with it. Sean and Jason were beginning to both enjoy the success of their programming block, but also deal with the more forceful oversight from their higher-ups. Sure, companies like Bandai would hit them up looking to bring a new version of Gundam stateside, hoping that Toonami is the perfect place to springboard the program to fans, and that's great. But with this much attention, they would be forced to show certain other programs because while they may run Toonami, they don't own it. None of this was remotely bad enough in their back and forths to cause a rift, thankfully, and something great did happen, and that was the introduction of Midnight Run, which would play more uncensored and
that's what it was. They went Toonami block and then Midnight Run block, and the Midnight Run block was the block where they had I think not necessarily like completely uncut, but it was like the more adult animes, like Rurouni Kenshin. What else? I think they had Yu Yu Hakusho on the adult run. What else? I'm trying to think. Oh, there's like more shit.
Uncut versions of anime.
Oh, it was uncut.
Making it
Oh,
a good alternative to still deliver the goods that people wanted in both formats. Toonami was being viewed as the spot to connect yourself for celebrating other forms of animation,
yeah.
but through multiple mediums, as they would even get the chance to work with Gorillaz and Daft Punk for their animated music videos,
Nice.
which clearly fit right in and played into the perfect midnight vibe run. Daft Punk even brought some of their music videos to premiere first on Toonami, and soon after, Gorillaz did the same thing. Today, both those names in music are extremely well known and largely celebrated, but back then, those levels of fame weren't there, and they saw Toonami as the direct place to help push their music and music videos out to a wider audience. This led to Toonami taking 1 hour of their midnight run block to be focused on introducing music in a way that wouldn't interfere with what their usual broadcasts would be, and keep the network happy since it wouldn't affect their ratings directly, being at the time that these would be shown. This was influential in the way that people would be discovering music at the time, and for a generation now growing up with the curations of art found through Toonami. There were people finding their own new tastes from it. Toonami was quickly becoming known as the tastemakers of the turn of the century. As we enter into the year 2000, the explosion of the brand would continue further. While you had stuff like Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series getting some love during the block, the explosion of anime was more prevalent than ever. G-Force Guardians of Space, a few Tenchi series, Blue Submarine...
Oh my god, the Tenchi series, I remember that, dude. That was like so violent. There was so much blood in that one.
Number 6 and Mobile Suit Gundam Wing would all join in on
all the Gundams.
slate.
Yep.
To upgrade the brand further, we got to experience the first ever TIE, or Total Immersion event, which would only focus on Tom and subsequently Sarah, voiced by Sally Timms, who was brought into the series during this first event here as this AI.
Oh yeah, I remember this like AI. He got like a buddy to just like riff off of, and it's like, I was like, oh, this is cool. There's like people here.
Companion for Tom.
You know what? Come with me.
The first event premiered on September 18th, 2000, and was known as The Intruder, and snippets of the story aired throughout the week during the broadcast until the 22nd, where the finale to this TIE came to a close. Each part of the Intruder story ended with a password to play a flash game on the Toonami website, where you would try and save these other robots as well as yourself from being eaten by this intruder. Throughout the shorts, Tom and Sarah find themselves dealing with this mysterious intruder, having interactions with it, trying to stop it from eating up everything and destroying the ship. In part 4, we end on Tom screaming in pain while being consumed by this hungry blob.
Bro, I never saw any of this. Oh my god. I wish I did though. I mean, because at the time I didn't really have I wasn't so computer literate as I am now. And yeah, like I remember like my early days of the internet involved like the Newgrounds website and playing all the flash games there, because I think it was also back in the day where AOL was popping off, and you were getting mailed like tons of discs, different versions of like AOL version 1, 2, 3, and it went all the way up to like 10, 11, 12 and onward. It was crazy.
Leading to the reveal in part 5 that Tom actually dies, and Sarah downloads him and places his data into a new, sleeker body called Tom 2. This taller Tom was now voiced by the iconic voice you may remember Tom for the most, Steve Bloom. To add on to this event and get more crowd participation for those engaged with Toonami, there was a phone number listed on the next broadcast to vote for which new engine Tom 2 should get for their ship repairs, and a little over a month later, that decision was showcased, and a few weeks after that, the repairs were done, leaving a little piece of the intruder floating by as it says, "The end?" with a question mark.
Yeah, this is the one I remember.
Toonami found a way to keep you engaged with a CG host that gets a really cool upgrade and listens to things that are viewer voted to change how they happen.
That's
Plus,
so
for now,
cool.
Toonami received an extra hour for their programming block, running on weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m. now. They were all having fun trying.
Like, I couldn't imagine a TV channel, or let alone like a block of like shows doing this in modern times, you know? It's like well, because like most people don't even have cable anymore. They just have their, I mean, maybe they do, but like they have YouTube, they have Netflix, all the streaming services, so on and so forth, like Paramount, Disney, and many other streaming services. Like this extra little bit of like Tom and Friends, it just adds more flavor to the like the block of like favorite shows that you're watching, and it makes the commercials not so boring. Like now I can't tolerate like commercials. Like I don't even say the word commercial because they're not commercials to me anymore. They're just ads that I don't want to deal with. That's why I don't watch TV. I'm like, why am I watching this? I'm just gonna go watch something else. I don't feel like watching ads.
New and different things with Toonami, and this event proved that if they were tasked to make something with the original character of Tom, given a budget and allowed to create a story with him, that they could do it. This leads us to 2001, where quite a few things happened for the Toonami brand. With more shows coming like Outlaw Star, The Big O, 3 Mobile Suit Gundam series, Batman Beyond, Zoid's New Century, Card Captors, and most importantly for them,
I remember all of these. These were all goated ass shows.
Dragon Ball, as this would be a great way to introduce fans of Dragon Ball Z to the original Dragon Ball series that leads into it. The higher-ups wanted to expand Toonami out and bring it over to a special block on Kids WB, which caused the regular 4 to 7 p.m. block on Cartoon Network go to a 5 to 7 p.m.
Oh
block,
yeah,
to allow time for the
Kids WB. I'd be watching that shit too, man. That was the channel that with the Saturday morning cartoons. That one was freaking awesome.
Creation of this new channel block. In July of 2001, this new Toonami block would take over a bit of Kids WB, but had one specific flaw. The branding around Toonami works thanks to how greatly it's paired to the content that it houses, and for Kids WB, the anime aspect wasn't there as much. While
Yeah,
sure,
it wasn't.
Pokemon fits the anime bill, it really was taking over time slots that could be used to showcase other programs. There would be glimpses of some other anime
Yeah, but did people want to actually watch those programs is the real question.
here and there.
So like you look at me, I watched all of that. I watched Toonami, I watched Kids WB, I watched the little Midnight Run section, I watched Nickelodeon, and I watched the Disney Channel because back then the Disney Channel was good. I watched all of it. It's all like the same. Like yes, they're like overlapping circles with like the audience, but I would say they overlapped more than they were separate. Is what I would say. At least based off my own stuff.
Cartoons like X-Men Evolution, Jackie Chan Adventures, Batman.
Oh, I had Jackie Chan Adventures. I'm cool. Oh my god, that shit was so good, and the animation on that was so good because it was Jackie Chan. Because they tried to make it, like how Jackie Chan films all his like movies, like wide angle, like really far back. Everything's well choreographed and whatnot. Like they couldn't do any of that bullshit with like the jump cuts that they do in the movies. Like just throwing a punch and it hitting someone's face, it'd be like 6 or 7 cuts. The wind up, the throw is a cut. The punch connecting to the person's face, the person's face reaction, cut. Them spinning and like falling to the ground, it's another jump cut. And then like the person just standing over top is another cut. It's like 6 cuts right there. Just throw a single punch and it's stupid. Meanwhile, you have the animated Jackie Chan series just doing him like the most justice. It was great.
And Beyond and Scooby-Doo. They also tried to infuse the music aspect of Toonami by mashing up clips from several showcase shows like Card Captors or X-Men to create these odd music videos called Toonami tracks. While some of these shows
I never watched any of the Toonami tracks. I don't know what the heck that is.
Those could be classified as action, most of them leaned more towards the comedy aspect, and the audience could tell that something was off. This wasn't what they expected from Toonami, and this was becoming a problem for the networks to push other types of shows onto the Toonami brand. But while this was happening, the regular spot on Cartoon Network for Toonami was pushing strong. Come September, the second TIE titled Lockdown took place. This event was a lot bigger as it worked alongside a tie-in game.
I have no idea what the lockdown thing was.
Game called Lockdown as well, where each day a new part of the game unlocked that would tie into the story seen in the shorts of this event. This was another huge hit that included a sweepstakes sponsored by Nintendo in promotion for their new console, the game.
Wait, is he getting more jacked, or is this still the same body? No, he's got like the chest and the shoulders and like a flat stomach.
GameCube. 300 winners
Wait, maybe
would win
did he have a
GameCube
belt?
branded shirt, 150 winners would win a GameCube game, and 10 lucky winners would receive a GameCube along with 6 games.
Oh,
The
yeah.
mainstream attention of Toonami was there.
Wait, I think he did get like a little bit taller, or is this the same model? I don't know.
The network knew this and the brands took notice. To get deals like this though, the
Wait, I think this is a new model because he didn't have that little like belt thing.
Toonami team was told to make their brand bigger to propose the ideas of what you have to more brands, which led to the idea of this lockdown game in the first place, giving viewers a chance to feel like they are actively helping Tom out and are a part of the story taking place. It was genius as it asked the audience directly to have fun in a different medium instead of just voting on something arbitrary. Heading into 2002,
this is back. You know what this all feels like? It feels like the creators of like Tom and Friends. It feels like they actually like gave a shit and wanted you to like interact with different forms of media just for the sake of, I mean, yeah, to create like engagement, but engagement back then wasn't like accumulated the same way as it is now. Yeah, it just, honestly, this feels like they gave a shit about their audience. They wanted to provide like different forms of like fun besides watching the TV shows, besides having like the little like spots between where the commercials would be to tell the little like a little story with Tom. They made the video game, they made the soundtracks and whatnot. This is like all so cool.
the hits kept coming, with Hamtaro, Zoid's Chaotic Century,
Zoids, that's what it
Mobile
was.
Fighter G Gundam, as well as playing episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Transformers Armada, and G.I. Joe. But even more exciting, getting to show episodes of a newer Cartoon Network classic, Samurai Jack. The real
Oh,
downside
Samurai
of
Jack.
this year, or upside, whichever way you want to look at it, was the ending of the Kids WB version of Toonami. By the end of June, the block went away, and because of this, the main Toonami block on Cartoon Network received its extra hour back, returning to a 4 to 7 p.m. programming block.
4 to
the next
7,
TIE
okay.
took place, and another game and another sweepstakes with Nintendo happened as well. It was still for the GameCube, but mainly to promote Super Mario Sunshine. For 2003, the year started off great, getting to celebrate Giant Robot Week, where anime with giant mechs were at the front of the line with programming.
Yeah.
Getting a chance for Toonami to air special showings of Neon Genesis Evangelion,
Bro, that's crazy that Neon Genesis Evangelion played on Toonami. Because, like, what's the target audience, like, age range for Toonami? Wouldn't it have been, like, 14 to, like, 24? Like, that's the range? Bro, I think I watched the Neon Genesis Evangelion. I watched the movies, and they are so crazy to watch, even as an adult, let alone trying to wrap your head around it as a kid.
Gantor, Dygard, Martian successor Nadesco, and even bringing back Robotech. This greatly introduced even more anime for those not in the know of some of them. Toonami's iconic hip-hop inspired beats were released on a special CD titled Toonami Deep Space Bass. Tom even got a bit of an
Oh yeah, this is like another upgrade where he's like an adult and like jacked and he's got like a man body now.
upgrade, bringing him to Tom 3, an even more muscular designed version that can age up with the CG a bit. This was also a big year for the new add-ons for broadcast. Justice League, Star Wars Clone Wars,
Clone Wars.
009 the Cyborg Soldier, Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho, Superior Defender Gundam Force, Dot Hack Sign, and another Dragon Ball series with Dragon Ball GT coming into the mix.
Oh, yep, I remember GT.
Whether you like it or hate it, that series was brought out on Toonami. Instead of having another regular TIE this year, they instead delivered an original segmented pilot miniseries for an anime that Sean and Jason produced with Production IG, called IGPX, or Immortal Grand Prix, which surely was different from what fans of Toonami were expecting, but seeing that the minds behind Toonami were doing this was pretty cool. Even if a younger me had
I remember seeing this. I didn't realize it was made by the same creators that made like Tom.
no clue that was the case, but this specific TIE will play into something down the road. 2004 changed things up. Come April of that year, the weekday afternoons for Toonami were taken away and moved to a singular Saturday night slot that ran from 7 to 11 p.m. While the somewhat similar but more
I didn't really know what was going on, but there was some time like during the week where it was like they went from like every day of the week to just one day of the week, and I was like, well, what the fuck? And like that was probably like the fall aspect of Toonami.
toned down Maguzi block took its place. The move was made to follow the aging up of its audience, thinking that those who watch would prefer a late-night weekend production over an every weekday mid-afternoon one. Sarah received a new look now along with a new voice actress, Samantha Robson, and the newest programs this year were Duel Masters, Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, Justice League Unlimited, Transformers Energon, Astro Boy, Rave Master, Jackie Chan Adventures, Teen Titans, and Megas XLR.
Yeah, for this block, I think I only watched the Jackie Chan Adventures and Teen Titans. That's it. Everything else, I was like, this is not my vibe anymore.
Over the next couple years, things were pretty much the same, having this special dedicated weekend block and adding plenty of new shows as 2005 brought us Dice, The Batman, the uncut version of Dragon Ball Z, Transformers, Cybertron, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Zatch Bell, One Piece, Naruto, Bobobo, and the full version of IGPX after it was teased with that micro series back in 2003. So a nice offering of some well-known properties and helping start off a lot of kids in America's obsession with Naruto headbands. But also getting to see the uncut version of Dragon Ball Z was a big deal. Cartoon Network allowed it thanks to its newer later runtime. 2006 brought us Woolen Warriors, The Prince of Tennis, Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Superheroes, Mar, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and both Pokemon Battle Frontier and Pokemon Chronicles.
It was around this time, I think I stopped watching Toonami, and I was just starting to get like too old for it.
Wasn't until 2007 where things became interesting enough to bring up, as this would be the 10-year anniversary.
Oh my god, 2007. So I would have been in high school at that point.
Of Toonami starting. It was hyped up, and when the date came around to celebrate it, we were introduced to Tom 4, bringing along two other main...
Yeah, it was so weird for them to have like actual eyeballs and like a robot face at least. It was just the eyeballs that was so off-putting to me. I was like, what the fuck is this? Where's Tom?
Robots hanging out with him, Flash, voiced by Dave Wittenberg, and D, voiced by Tom Kenny. The year didn't add much new to its already solid rotation of animation, only adding in Mega Man Star Force and Stormhawks, but the future seemed pretty great for the programming block. It even celebrated the anniversary with special movie premieres every week in March that year. But come 2008, this wouldn't be the case. With only a few more additions like Bakugan Battle Brawlers, Blue Dragon, and Ben 10 Alien Force, things seemed a bit off. The year was going by...
Yeah, all those shows, I think I watched like a little bit of Ben 10, but I was just like, I'm good.
Just fine, but on September 20th at a convention called Anime Week in Atlanta, Cartoon Network dropped the sad news that Toonami was officially going to end, pointing to low ratings being the cause. And literally, that same night, Toonami aired their final broadcast, with the end of it having a final farewell from Tom himself saying goodbye after 11 years, hoping you have made some unforgettable memories and to stay gold. And those words were held on to by everyone watching something so special from their childhood end so suddenly before their eyes. And just like that, Toonami was gone.
Until we meet again, stay gold.
Oh, dang.
Bang.
Years went by, and Toonami did become this distant memory.
Yeah.
Enter in Adult Swim, another programming block on
Adult
Cartoon
Swim
Network that would control the late night and early morning scene with teen and adult programs, making the...
Yeah, this was like around the midnight block era, like maybe 10 to like 2, 3, 4 in the morning or something like that.
Clear cut at the end of the day when kid entertainment ends and when the older crowd can flip on the channel.
Which is kind of weird to think about because like now, as an adult, I go to sleep at around like 9 or 10. So I would not be staying up like that late to watch all this extra shit. And it's like, I get why people feel so like out of it the next day. Like, because you were up at, like, watching Adult Swim every night. That's why you have insomnia.
Starting in the early 2000s as well, Adult Swim was conceived by Mike Lazo, as there is a connection here to leverage one programming block to bring back another. April Fool's Day for Adult Swim is always a night full of whatever weird they can come up with, and people enjoy the shenanigans that they pull. But this next one was different, as it could be pulling on heartstrings more than anything. On April 1st, 2012, Adult Swim just played a Toonami block consisting of Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, and other classics that you would find on Toonami, full with the Toonami branding and everything. And as fun as this was to revisit Toonami, it wasn't just some joke to do so. In fact, it was a secret attempt to get people interested in bringing back Toonami. As social media was really becoming a staple part of everyday life, Adult Swim put the power onto the people to get their voices heard, saying on Twitter that if you want Toonami back, use the hashtag
Want it back? Let us know. Bring back Toonami. Huh.
bring back Toonami.
Wait, this was the day when they had like a Twitter. Look at this, like with the old ass Twitter, like reply, retweet, favorite. Oh my god, this is like old Twitter format. That's crazy. And like hashtag so and so. This is so funny.
People sure made their voices heard. When Sean and Jason became aware that the April Fool's joke was to play some old school Toonami, they got excited over the fact that this could be a way to revive the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they watched as the internet overnight exploded with support of Toonami. And with that, the hashtags wanting to bring it back. It was so demanded and so well received that literally the following week, bumpers on Adult Swim stated, "We're listening and we're looking into it." Cut to May 26, 2012, where Toonami was a
Yeah, this is just a matter of communication, it seemed. Like the people like that ran Cartoon Network, they'll put on whatever is going to get the most amount of people back to watching. I mean, as simple as that, you know. They were trying to ride that like the aging viewer audience, and then it ended up with like Adult Swim, and then, which is kind of crazy to think about, because how many years was that? Like 5-10 years or something like that, like maybe more, maybe 15 years. Like that's crazy to think that I was watching Toonami on and off, and then Adult Swim on and off, and it's like it's just been there for that long.
officially back and on the air, and with that, an onslaught of shows throughout 2012.
And also, this has probably been where this is also when nobody was really, what do you call it? Like streaming services weren't as prominent as they are today. Probably around this time, Netflix was just barely starting to take off with like the mail, or you go on the website, you pick your queued movies, and then you pick like a couple, and then they mail them to you. You watch them in your DVD player, and then you watch them and then you mail them back when you're done, which was crazy.
The programming block had Bleach, Deadman Wonderland, Cowboy Bebop, Thundercats, Inuyasha, Casher and Sins, Samurai 7, Symbionic Titan, Eureka 7, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood,
Dang.
2 Ghost in the Shell series,
That's a
Tenchi
lineup.
Muyo GXP, and the uncut version of Naruto. It was a fierce return, and the fans of Toonami ate it up,
That's a
welcoming
lineup,
new fans
dude.
to join in on it as well. Toonami even expanded to over 6 hours in October of that year. It was great all around. Coming into 2013, Tom 5 premiered along with a new
5.
but older look for Sarah, for her third variant voiced by Dana Swanson. Soul Eater, Fooly Cooly, The Big O2,
my
Star
God.
Wars The Clone Wars, Sword Art Online, the return of IGPX, and even the uncut version of One Piece started to flood into the programming block. Movies like Akira and Summer Wars
Oh,
were
dang.
played, and everything was rolling into 2014 in high swing, with not only the announcement that a new TIE was in the works to come out the following year and be a sequel to the TIE Intruder, but even more shows were being added to the slate: Space Dandy, Blue Exorcist, 2 Black Lagoon series, Beware the Batman, Inuyasha the Final
What? There's like a CG Batman? Bro, I was not watching this at all this time.
Act, Hellsing.
I think around this time, what was I doing? If this is like a year or two after, like 2008-ish, maybe, or well, I don't know how long that went on, like the whole protest, well, not protest, but like we want Toonami back and whatnot. How many years after? Because I was probably out of high school, but I was probably working at CC's at the time. And honestly, I think I was probably playing a shitload of Call of Duty and just working at CC's, because I didn't go to college like right out of high school like I should have. Yeah.
Ultimate, Gurren Lagann, Attack on Titan, Dragon Ball Z
Oh,
Kai
dang.
Uncut, the original 4 seasons of Samurai Jack, and the uncut version of Naruto Shippuden. In 2015,
Dang.
however, Toonami was shrunk down a bit, now running from midnight to 3:30 a.m. But
What? Bro, that time slot is absolutely ridiculous. Midnight to 3, bro. Like I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm falling asleep at that time slot. It's like no wonder kids have like insomnia.
Things were still okay. This year brought the return of TIEs, where we got the Intruder 2 that led to a new overall look for the block. It also led to the Absolution being destroyed and Sarah dying. But she was put into the computer system, and now the programming block was hosted from the planet Shogo 162. Program-wise, we got the additions of Kill la Kill, Sword Art Online 2, Parasite the Maxim, Akame ga...
I had no idea all these shows premiered on Toonami first, because when I saw all these shows, I saw them on Crunchyroll at my own convenience. Like, holy crap. I can't imagine being like a little kid and staying up until midnight for all of this shit. This is crazy, dude.
Kill, and Michiko and Hachin. For 2016, One Punch Man, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Mobile Suit Gundam, Iron-Blooded Orphans, Hunter x Hunter, Samurai Champloo, and Dimension W were the newest batch of shows, and for this year, the next TIE was announced at that year's Anime Expo, where it was surprisingly another part in the Intruder series titled Intruder 3. This led to them getting a new ship, the planet they were on being destroyed, and Sarah getting a new version of herself, this time with little wings. During this year, the broadcast time shifted to 11:30 p.m. to start, ending at 3 a.m. But this would be reversed a handful of months later anyway, so nothing really significant there. They did announce another new micro-series called The Sand Whale and Me to premiere in 2017, being a joint production of Adult Swim and Production IG, and directed by Mamoru Oshii. For 2017, the length of Toonami started to grow once again. At first, getting to start at 11:30 p.m. once again, and then
starting at 11:30?
Quickly earning that start time of 11 p.m., making the whole block 4.5 hours now.
Bro, like this is crazy. Like 11 to 3? Oh my god.
We also saw the addition of Dragon Ball Super, Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn, 2 Tokyo Ghoul series, Black Clover, Dragon Ball Z Kai The Final Chapters, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders, Lupin the Third Part 4 The Italian Adventure, Outlaw Star, and a brand new revived Samurai Jack that returned for a final 5th season that was a bit more adult than the original series. There was another TIE titled The Countdown, where Tom gets brought to the future by his future self to help stop a corrupted version of Sarah, really building out more of the story that they have been making for Tom and Sarah as hosts of Toonami. As the year went on, more time slots were open to Toonami, but it wasn't until 2018 that it would truly get even bigger. The block earned more and more time slots on both ends, running from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., making a solid 7 hours for Toonami to showcase all that it has. This was the peak moment of Toonami's return. After more than 5 years of being back, it has taken over once again.
I was back for 5 years, bro. I missed all of that 5 years. God dang.
And has acquired the licenses to play way more anime than ever before. My Hero Academia, 2 different Fooly Cooly series, Pop Team Epic, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, Mob Psycho 100, Megalobox, and Boruto Naruto The Next Generation joined Toonami in 2018 as well. As 2019
oh wow, it's even like still, is it still popping off right now?
rolled around, Adult Swim was biting back some of its time, as Toonami shrunk back down a bit to 5 hours long, running from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. now.
Bro, these like time slots, this is like crazy.
But still having new shows like Sword Art Online Alicization, Lupin the Third Part 5 Misadventures in France, Fire Force, Genlock, Dr. Stone, The Promised Neverland, Food Wars, Mobile Suit Gundam, The Origin Advent of the Red Comet, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind, and Demon Slayer.
Bro, I've seen all of those animes, but I've seen them at my own convenience. I just can't get over this like crazy time slot of 11 to 4. That's the real like that time slot for me, like, is just a nail in a coffin. Like, I might stay up to 11, but I'm like dozing off at that point.
We got another TIE called The Forge, which is where Tom was created and also killed again. bringing us Tom 6, thanks to
Six.
Sarah using the Forge. And then Toonami got an extra half an hour back, running until 4:30 a.m. again. Entering into the 2020s, these time slots would constantly be played with, going up and down and up again, but it would roughly even itself out around being a 4-hour long block from midnight to 4 a.m. From 2020 to present day of making this video, Toonami has continued to add more anime and other shows to their run, and things in general have been running as good as they always have. While there wasn't a TIE in 2020, 2021 had the next TIE titled Cosmo Samurai.
Now, this is probably the time with around like the pandemic where everyone was just inside. So I would imagine the viewership would go up for sure. And I don't know if, did Funimation have its like little app or streaming service available, and also the Crunchyroll stream service?
And was advertised as a non-canonical event that featured the Toonami characters, and it was done in a full traditional anime style. This carried on for the 2022 TIE that had Cosmo Samurai 2, but right after that ended, the following weeks would air another TIE, this time titled The Return. This one was canonical and had Tom trying to come to terms with there being many Toms that exist. When a ghost from the past arrives, being the original Absolution spaceship that we know is being destroyed, as we see the original Sarah AI from 19 years ago glitched onto the screen, as the ship then gets shown to actually be from 250 years in the future, having more powerful capabilities to intergalactically travel, donning the new name of the GPS Absolution Mark 14, as we continue the Toonami broadcasts as usual. As of 2023, Toonami is still running stronger than ever.
Wait, that's the logo? Wait, go back a little.
Broadcasts as usual.
Bro, dang, that is really changed from like just the lining. It would be like white lines everywhere. This is like the new logo. God dang.
As of 2023, Toonami is still running stronger than ever, having new anime and other shows premiering all the time and just celebrating all that makes Toonami special. Over the years since its comeback, Toonami has been the main hub that is accessible to so many for new and old anime to be presented. It's not just the classics it embraces, but all the new stuff as well, which some can feel like it takes away the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, like I still watch like animes, but I can't watch them like as they're premiering. I just am bored. Like, I need to, like, go on Crunchyroll. Well, essentially just Crunchyroll. It used to be Funimation, but, yeah, I just go on Crunchyroll, dude, and just binge, like, whatever is new
of it, but to others, this is their first exposure to a lot of this anime, much like it was to me and to a lot of you back in the day during Toonami's original run. And I think that feeling and those moments are special. Currently, Toonami still runs on Saturday nights from midnight to 4 a.m., offering an ever-growing lineup of new and classic anime plus a whole lot more. It really is amazing to see quite the comeback for a programming block that originally was just meant to end and be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
But through an April Fool's joke that really wasn't a joke, the fans made it possible for the network to actually listen and bring back Toonami with more support than it ever received initially. It wasn't just the programs it played, it wasn't just the vibe that the host segments created. It was the all-around encompassing of different forms of media for you to discover. Sure, there was anime, which is a big part of it, but the music created for the show, along with the music played during the music video segments, really helped shape some new discovery within the various sounds out there.
Oh yeah.
The video game reviews that would happen gave you your own little slice of
Oh yeah, I remember the video game reviews. I think I got this game specifically. It was like some roller derby game because I saw it on Toonami.
Before here, getting to see a showcase of many different video games and their reviews of them, mainly put together by Jason himself, and there was always some sort of sweepstakes going on to take place in, and it felt that Toonami was there for one thing and one thing only: you, the viewer, to have an experience, discovering new things to love and build lifelong memories.
Yeah, I don't think I would have been into anime had I not seen any of Toonami.
Whether you first discovered Toonami during its original run or found yourself getting into it because of its return, the same universal feelings of it can be shared by us all. Toonami was a crucial part of my childhood, and I thank it for introducing me to so much, from anime to some music and even a few video games. I would love to know your experiences with Toonami as well. When did you discover it, and what did you discover from it? Tell me in the comments. As always, I've been Jordan Fringe. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Later.
Man. Bro, that's a good ass video, dude. That's crazy. I actually had no idea that Toonami is still around, and it's just like used as like a vessel to like introduce new like animes and shows and whatnot. So, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, that was great. I want to see more. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.